答えは常に塔の上にある。
間に合う。間に合ったな。アリーナに売店ぐらいあるよな。
After school.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode for the Webtoon Podcast here. God of High School and Lookism as usual. We said on the main episode this week, Webtoon's they were teasing on Twitter, that Tower's coming back, so it's going to be soon, hopefully. But in the meantime, yeah, we're starting off the final section for God of High School here. A battle with the gods, and there's no real solid definition for arcs from what I could find online. Right now we're going through 308 to 333 for the chapters. Yeah, so this is after the 17-year time skip. Pretty different, I think, from previous God of High School stuff as far as like the art style goes. I thought it took a little bit to get used to, but at the end I was really digging it.
Yeah, I don't know about the gorilla's art style in the beginning, but like now that it's kind of warmed up to it, and also I think it's because like the artist like drew it more often, so he's kind of like tweaked it a little bit and cleaned it up. A lot of the fights with Ahan, like I don't know about you guys, but do you guys ever listen to hip hop while you read these fights? It's like the best shit ever. Like I was listening to Wu-Tang, and then I was listening to Ahan Don just fucking fight everybody. That was hype. But yeah, like after this art style is just it got better. Like it's meant more I think it's more suited for like that fast-paced fights more than like the standing still. Because everybody looks weird standing still, but once you see them like in action, it's kind of like flowing.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool. You know, it's a fresh start, and we could go for the different art style, and I get it.
Definitely looking a lot more polished in anime now.
So yeah, we start off with one Mori Dan. Right off the bat, the whole time I was thinking, up until the reveal, was that this is like, reincarnation kind of thing. I wasn't really feeling a lot of the early stuff for the arc, because I was like, oh man, we're introducing to all these new characters. It really feels like we are starting over in the series, and I was like, no, I just want to see our characters that we've been going through for like 300 chapters, man. But I will say, Mori Dan's sister, Ahan, is fantastic.
I love her. I love everything about her.
I think out of all the new characters, she's the only one that I really care about. And I think the only one that's going to stay important after all this shit goes down.
Like, I don't know if it changes later on, but like, I like how she is right now. She's just trying her best just to fucking, just to live without her older brother's support, just to make her name for herself.
I think Ahan is probably one of the few primary protagonists that we've seen in a long time that has had like basically a weak constitution. This reminds me of like Dawei's best friend, basically, like somebody that we heard about, but it's not really mentioned in the story because of course they're terminal. We finally come on to somebody whose, mortality isn't threatened by like fucking the next big villain.
She's letting her frustration show. That's what I was trying to get at earlier.
Yeah.
She doesn't like try to hold it in or use it as something else. She's actually pissed that, well, she's projecting towards Mori Dan, but
yeah,
her herself is like hurting inside because of all the shit that's happening.
I think it's
so that's what I appreciate about her.
A lot of her determination amongst her, her apprehension and her overwhelming like sense of like aggression and agitation is like mostly because she has like the worst fucking hand out of everything. You know what I mean? She has like, well, later we find out that she has like leukemia. Whether or not Mori was there to cripple her leg, she was most likely going to end up with leukemia. Like I said, a bad draw with or without Mori there. Oh, your fate is basically doomed. But because you have Mori with you, maybe that'll change, or maybe you'll make the most out of something. I'm not expecting a miracle. Like I'm kind of like low-key expecting like some bullshit where like he's just gonna get rid of the leukemia for her, or some bullshit with like her borrowed power maybe. But I'm not sure about that.
That would happen. No, that would happen. Yeah, hopefully, like if we see her again, because she got rocked. But if we see her again, like I hope she has like a better constitution towards their whole relationship. If it changes at all with what happened, I hope she has like a better understanding after that. After coming to terms with the fact, hopefully that she has like something that he couldn't have helped. Which, can I say, that shit was horrible. Just like I had to reread that shit twice just to really understand what was going on. And oh my god, Mori just fucking broke right there. So okay, so why couldn't he contract the Yoi? Was it because he was already spent?
No, he couldn't contract the staff because of the Holy Grail.
Oh, they
sealed
took
his powers. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And so this is actually something that me and Danny were arguing about off record.
Let me ask you this, Gerry. With Mori Dan, what did you think? Because on my end, I think that he had his memories the whole time growing up as Mori, like Mori Jin, right? Because when we get into the fight with the clone Mori, we see that he transforms and boom, actually it was Mori Jin the whole time. He didn't die. His body just transformed into a child. On my end, I say like, oh no, he had his memory the entire time. And the reason he was living as Mori Dan was because he wanted to escape like his problems, his reality. It's like, there's a fresh start, a new era.
Right.
So let's just leave it at that. And then on Oscar's end, you were saying that he didn't have his memories, right?
Yeah, I was thinking more or less that he had tried to hide for so long that he just forgot about Morihjin. He forgot about his powers, and then like all of that repression became undone when he was fighting his clone Mori. I forgot what this one's called, Mori Jung.
Yeah.
Because and there are moments during the fight that had made me lead towards that conclusion, like where he's talking about the jinxing technique or whatever it's called, among other things. But it's clear to me now that after that argument, that we were that more likely, like, yeah, Danny's right. He's pretty much had it the whole time.
Nah, but at the same time, like, you're kind of right too, because I believe he did have it. But like you said, he repressed all that shit, just trying to fucking take care of Ahan, because like he felt solely responsible for her legs, so he's trying to like make up for his guilt by that. Because of all that, his memories of like Daiwi and Mira and everything that happened at Ragnarok just kind of maybe was pushed back in the recess of his brain and wasn't activated until until he was fighting Mori, I think, or until like Daiwi came in the match. I feel like it was until Daiwi, because like when Mori was fighting Mori, they were kind of like I don't know about you, but I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were kind of neck and neck until Mori actually came out of his fucking body. And that's when the Mori Jung was kind of like, Nani?
He got really overwhelmed really fast.
Yeah, not just like physically, but because of like his whole identity was just shattered to pieces right there. He's like, I'm the fake one and all that. Yoi's not real, that's why I can't fucking contract it or whatever. But yeah, like I would say that's both. Like, I feel like Mori Dan did in fact like repress his memories after all that shit. Like after the fact that he couldn't. Okay, so like during the Ragnarok fight, you know how like he was pretty much upset because he couldn't do anything because he was already spent. He was already weak. He used all of his fucking power up already, and everybody was pretty much like dropping like flies or something or getting their ass whooped. So I guess like the Yoi landing on the house and killing the parents is maybe like the last straw. He tried to make, I don't know if he tried to make his armor like consume itself and him, or like if he just started like, if he was just trying to fade away like that, cause he's a god, I don't know what he could probably just fade himself out of the existence if he wanted to. Oh no, the baby, which was Ahan Dan, she grabbed onto him, and maybe that's where like, I forgot what he was thinking. Oh, he was thinking of his grandfather and telling him to live. Like, you have to live. Like,
yeah, live and smile.
And I don't know how that made Mori just regress in age.
I think it's a defense mechanism for his body, because another big thing is he got hit with the rebound of what was it, like the time 256 or whatever it was. Yeah. Like he went over the limit his body could handle, and like he mentioned it again in the big fight with his clone.
Yeah, his body was completely destroyed. See, here's the stem of the argument that I was trying to bring up. So we had a look in the Wikipedia for the Holy Grail. They're talking about if it's used on a god, like, well, basically on like anything that's not human, if it's completely unharmed and it's a very powerful thing, it won't kill it, but it'll seal it. But let's say the thing was already weak, or basically close to death. In this instance, it would have killed them. But like for some reason, Mori Jin being the main character, it just didn't work out that way for him. He's like the exception.
Well, plus his immortality, right?
So I just kind of think that it was a little strange that he regressed into a human. I don't even know if he's a human. He's not really a human.
No, it's just the same body he's always had.
Yeah, it's just blue now for whatever reason. He just turned Super Saiyan God for whatever reason, It's just like I mean, I'm not gonna say that I got it, but I understand like where they're trying to go on with it. I just I think part of it could have been he just reduced the amount of power he had, like kind of what the limiters talk about.
That's what I believe. Like I didn't think I thought like once he crashed down Korea, I thought the Holy Grail was pretty much that was it. Like it got what it needed to, and then I don't know what the fuck happened to Mori to just crash on the way. I forgot what happened for him to just crash down in Korea, but I feel like at that point it was already settled. Like it is what it is. He just has to read Taekwondo and whatever memories he has left over.
And see, look right here in chapter 332. This is where I'm like, this is hard confirmation. He said, "I was so busy hiding behind the mask of Mori Dan, trying to run away from that reality." So to me, that means he remembers everything. He was just trying to escape.
Like I said, at this point, I'm more inclined to believe that argument. This is kind of like where the thing was kind of escalating anyway.
The fight with him and Mori Jung was really good stuff. I think the author was like, you know what? I guess I do owe the audience a Mori Jin versus Mori Hugh fight. So we just got to do it like this. I saw some people in the comments said that, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what this feels like.
I thought in regards to how they're playing off like Mori's whole character and the expansion into like his clones or like whatever the fuck it is. They really try to make the shit really expansive and really complex, like it's the Matrix or something. They're just trying to put like double entendres into everything. I feel like it's really gonna try to like mesmerize you and keep you captivated and like all this good stuff. But in the end, I feel like it's gonna pull some bullshit and it's gonna be really confusing.
Oh, for sure. I feel like right now it's that bullshit.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that pretty big callback, right, for this clone, because in the beginning, when I thought this was still reincarnation, I thought like, oh, did Mori's personality like somehow split into two people? Mori Jung's like the more serious type that Mori can show like in Mori Hugh's stance, and then when he's in his Mori Dan phase, I'm like, oh, that's just typical Mori. I'm like, oh, maybe they got two halves of Mori Jin's thing, kind of like how like there's the monkey guarding the crystal that had Mori in it. But yeah, for them to get the reveal like, oh no, actually this is a clone from that American scientist all the way back when he stole Mori's DNA. Yeah, so I'm curious what's gonna happen with Jung and see what he decides to do from here on out, because he's not like Mori Hugh. Like Mori Jin just can't make him vanish because he's a physical clone.
I think it's kind of cool. Like he even admitted that he was jealous of him, like with his mindset. Like you're one to accept reality, face it head on for what it is. You're not anybody but you, and I think that's one of the main and central points of the series that they really try to like instill in you. Like, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you are. Like you create your own destiny as long as you believe so. I mean, look at Mori Hugh. I mean, I never really expected him to last that long. Never expected him to go out the way he did. He even like created his own style. He was like his own staple. You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't they do that for any character, even if they all look the same? To me, the way I imagine it is if we were still looking at this like with the exact same mindset that we had looking into it, like when we first started. Remember how we were saying that we were just getting like video game references from this, like like King of Fighters and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I would think to myself, if I had to play a fighting game of God of High School based off the series right now as it is, and how many Mori Jin characters there would be, but they're all different. And I'd imagine them to have they're all their own movesets and stuff like that. Because at this point, we've seen them all fight different.
Yeah, there'd be regular Mori, Sun Wukong Mori, Mori Hugh, Mori Jung, Mori Dan,
You know, so it's like all of that kind of shit is just like they all have their own personalities, their own intricacies. They're all like great. And I'm like, some of them are, like I said, they're all going to play different from each other. It's all going to be really dope. To me, I can see myself having way more fun with that than, like, no offense, like playing like Dragon Ball Z Fighters and playing like the seven exact Gokus that there are of each other. You know what I mean?
We're getting character progression with Mori, but it's not through Mori himself. It's through his other personalities and stuff. That's just crazy.
I'm going to agree with Gerry too. I think Aha Den is probably one of the better characters that have come out in this arc, you know, and she's going to be like a really cool character to follow along with. I don't know if any of these characters are going to be replacing like the primary trio, because we haven't seen Mira yet. She's pretty much like a secondary character now. You know, I don't believe that she's like a primary character, especially with like her mind being kind of fucked the way it is. Like, I don't see herself having a lot of inner monologue or anything like that. I think she's just like more or less a puppet. It would really give us an opportunity to find like another female role like Ahan and have her, you know, internal monologues that we see where she's like competing with basically God. I think she's the best of both worlds. She's not a genuine fighter, but she has the tenacity of a genuine fighter. But she's a borrowed power user.
I hope she stays a recurring character. The fact that she can't use her power to the full extent for long periods of time, I could see that being a problem. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure Dawei's going to take Mori and they're going to go deal with some of this bullshit that's going on with Mujin, trying to fix Mira, and then just trying to regroup on what's going on in the state of the world now, since Mujin's, you know, fundamentally changed everything where everyone's using borrowed power. And I gotta say, with Mujin, it was funny, man. When he was fighting Dawei, he was just like, yes, I've gone to the realm that gods can't even go to. Science.
Can I just say really quick, was it me or was this guy trying really hard to be like one of those fucking androids from Blaze Blue? The one that have like all the swords and shit all over their back. You know what I'm saying? Like those sword saying bitches.
I don't know. I think Mujin's design also still trips me out too, because I'm just like, what's with this like berserk look you got, bro? Oh, and also we got the reveal that Dawei's actually getting weaker, and that the human body can't handle the king's power for long periods of time. And it's not even the whole thing, right? It's only half, because the other half went to Mira, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Xiao Chen became my favorite.
She's great. Was that her borrowed power? Is that she can just change into anything else?
I guess so, right?
Like I guess so.
That was the whole thing that we've been waiting for this whole time. It's just she can shapeshift.
She's got the Tsunade energy, right? Because she's like, what, 40?
Yeah, bro. She's already using the fucking Fist of the Black Turtle, dude.
Ocean Cry.
That was cool. I wasn't expecting
fucking
that.
Sick, dude.
$10 says that she learned it from Gun and not Dawei.
Well, no, because she's always with Dawei for the most part.
Because she's the king. Because Dawei's the Jade Emperor. No. Yeah? The king?
Yeah, the Jade Emperor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably a good place to stop right here. Because I only read like up to like 336, like just today. And like there's a lot more stuff, so this might be in a good spot just to recap real quick. Knowing
God of High School, I figured at like this point after, like, oh, shit's gonna hit the fan.
Did you guys wanted to see more of Bake, Mr. Bake? I only saw
he had a little section, and he says he's busy, right? So obviously he's trying to figure out a way to get Uma back.
No. He's not getting Uma back. Uma went by herself. Uma chose to leave. Uma will come back when she's ready.
But he's just not going to sit on his ass the whole time.
He's trying to find a way to go over to that realm. But I think, honestly, that she fell into a trap.
Oh, then also we did get to see the other boy, right? Mr. Iplo Park for a bit.
Uh-huh.
And he's in court for being an associate with Taijin and Morijin. Right?
Yeah, for being a part of the events.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to see the three boys team up again. But that's probably not going to be for a good while. Man, I still can't believe it's 17-year time skip. That's so crazy.
That's a lot. That's a weird number.
Well, because then we go back to the high school setting, right? With Mori, since he returned, he was like a toddler.
Yeah, you know what's funny? on the wiki, I was also looking at like the titles of the arcs that they have up all the way up into like the latest chapters, and some of them are so funny. They're the exact same titles as the original arcs, but they just have again in parentheses. I can understand where this is coming from, because it's just like you're saying, like they're just repeating the whole like tournament, like based off the namesake of the anime or the manhwa. You know, because at this point, if he doesn't go into it, then the name of the manhwa doesn't make sense anymore.
For a good while, though, prior to this, it nothing related to God of High School.
Did you ever see even one teacher, even one session of class being taken place?
Yeah, you don't remember the recap episode? Like they had to catch up because they were gone for like 6 months of school.
Fucking studies and exams and shit.
Yeah, and then they did the soccer tournament.
Oh, that was great! Versus Mori and fucking Daiwi, bro. That shit was so good.
Oh yeah,
he's
you're
like,
right.
I may lose to you, in fighting wise, but on the field, it's all about technique.
Yeah.
So good, dude. That's a little slice of life episode for you right there.
I think God of High School is one of those titles where like, well, we're just gonna have to accept it now. Like we can move away from this tournament, but I mean it does still kind of tie into the plot though, right? Because the main purpose for the tournament now is to find remnants of Morijin to see whether or not he survived. At least that's what Mujin's plan was the entire time for the God of High School tournaments every year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to keep it relevant. But I think after this, there's no point because, again, it's a 17-year time skip. These guys are adults. Like, we're not in high school anymore.
Almost all of them are not adults.
Well, I mean, aside from Mori's sister, I mean, Mori's not going to go back to school after this, I don't think.
He doesn't have to go. None of them even have to go to school. Like, the whole point was just for them to be of high school age for the tournament. Like, that was kind of like the whole trope from the original thing. Yeah, I mean, think about it. They had little instances of them having regular slices of life, but they don't really have regular lives. They're just fighting all the time.
Yeah, but what about the guy in his mid-30s, though? Remember, he entered a God of High School because he actually goes to high school at the time.
I was just going to say that they're going to have like a side B plot, of course, because they're still going to have like adult shit to do, like setting up like the plans to take care of Mubong and doing sabotage and espionage and like all of those people that are associated with like, you know, Pandora and all that other shit. Like all the adults, of course, are going to be having their side B plots. But like people in the tournament, which is pretty much just Ahan and Mori, like all of that is just going to be on its own. And to be fair with you, and this is something that I didn't get a chance to say earlier, as far as Ahan goes, I'm not even sure that she's even going to be able to move after everything that's said and done. Because like I said, she has leukemia and she got the literal shit beat out of her. So I'm not even really going to be surprised if she doesn't even fight anymore.
This is also 17 years in the future, so and the doctor said himself that they have like more substantial treatments for bone marrow diseases, shit like that. So I'm holding hope to that at least.
Her problem was she wasn't taking her medicine for a while, right? Because it messes with like how much power she can use.
I'm not supposing somebody with leukemia could just heal.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, we got gods here, so we'll...
She got eye shards coming out of her leg, dude.
Yeah, don't forget she's a direct contract user too, if that means anything for that kind of stuff, yeah. I just don't see Mori gonna go back home with his sister and like the tournament's gonna be even relevant anymore. The tournament's like the whole purpose was again to find Morijin. Now we found Morijin, so there's no point and to keep it going, at least for the story's sake. So yeah, I think moving forward, we're all just gonna focus on what's going on with Mori, trying to like recover his body to how it used to be, and then he'll be tagging with Dawei and trying to figure out how to get his revenge on Mori or on Mubong. So cool, man. So I think with that, I think we can swing on over to some Lookism. J. Kim arc still going strong, chapters 9 through 10, and I think we're reaching the final climax of this arc right here. You know, we bring it up here and there, right, Oscar, of how, like, why does J. Kim feel so different here than what he does in present? In these chapters, I'm like, yeah, what happens to him, man? How he is right now, I feel like this is, like, a defining moment for his character.
This is definitely the J. Kim we would have seen if he would have, like, went to J. High instead.
It's going to be interesting to see what his reasoning is to go a completely different route for what he wants to do. We got some sick ass fights with Goo and Gun, just really showing how scary they are by taking down Black Bear. Yeah, I was surprised to see Sinu. I thought Sinu was done with the arc after he lost to Gun. I'm still going to miss him because I think he's going to have like a few more chapters and then he's gone.
I like the conclusion that ended up happening between the Black Bear gang and Big Deal. We really get into what Gunn was talking about a while ago when they first introduced the crazy side to Samuel when he was fighting against Warren and Daniel. You know, he's very ruthless. He's like conniving. And I think that at first, you know, like based off what Sinu says in number 9, it's like he didn't used to be this cruel. But then like something about that moment with Jake made him snap. And it makes him this very like insecure, inferior person that makes you want to like lash out and like do really fucked up, really brazy shit. Like he's very like off the wall. He does out of character things. I'm just gonna mention it that way because, you know, he always tries his best to be cool. I think on the inside he's always cool too. Like he wouldn't normally like act like that. I just think that he's acting like that now because of everything that's been going on. I do admit though, seeing this side of him being created in this way is kind of a little underwhelming. Like I feel like this is kind of disappointing, but only for the fact that he's such a good character. I didn't want this side of him to be created through something as petty as like a one-sided family rivalry. It's not even really much of a rivalry. It's just like a one-sided family beef that you have with your sperm donor, like with the message. Like I said, like he's very smart. He's very cool. Like he was basically my favorite character as soon as they introduced him. As soon as he got his promotion, I was like, oh, fuck. You know, he's tatted way the fuck up, full-blown bodysuit, and he's the youngest out of all of them. Like, he's really dope.
And just to see Jake leave, like, right after they became Big Deal was a little surprising to me. I thought he was going to stick around just for a bit. But the surprising part, though, was that he left by himself. He didn't take Gerry or the other guys with him.
Fucking Gerry Kwan, though.
Gerry Kwan being an MVP.
Fuck yeah. He's like, you're going to have to eat if you're planning on being me till tomorrow. Oh my god, big Gerry Kwan energy.
That was so good.
And it's like the other reveal to that is we get to see like a very small insight about how his dad is. And it's just like, and you know what's funny is I really should have seen this coming because I swear the way that he goes about character development, the thing that's like, you know, absent from his life, or the thing that he talks about the most, like his dad being this ingestible prick, or like this you know, this human piece of shit and garbage. And then, like, as it turns out, it's just his mom not really specifying and finishing her goddamn sentence. And I'm just like, this is not the first time I've seen you do this shit. Like, like this is like, just finish your goddamn sentence already so he can get the full point. Maybe this is how miscommunications happen. You know, maybe just get your whole point across.
Maybe that's how Jake Kim ended up in juvie.
Well, my point is, so obviously, you know, now that we get this chapter, oh, it turns out you are like your dad. And it's just that one character trait that we didn't expect your dad to have. And it's that he's a nice guy.
No.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, yeah, because his mom says it. It's just like he was the worst piece of shit to me from a woman's perspective. But anytime somebody was in trouble or somebody, you know, there was any injustice, he would never, you know, just let that shit slide. He would always be there. And that's exactly what Jake wants. Jake doesn't want to be a thug. Jake wants to be like a hero.
But Jake already knew that stuff when we started this arc.
No, he didn't. That's why she's telling him just now.
When he explained what he thought about his father, oh, he was a piece of shit at home, but everyone respected him, and I never understood why. And then he realized, like, oh, but he's a gang member, and then, like, what's affiliated with that, and how ruthless he was. He hated all of that. The only thing that he ignored when it came to what his father was about was protecting people, because he was like, oh no, he uses violence for the wrong things because he's in a gang. But deep down, he knew all that stuff. He just needed that extra push from his mom to be like, oh, okay, so he was doing that to protect people that he cared about, and that's why people respected him.
See, I don't think that's true. See, I think that he understood to an extent that his dad was a gangster, but didn't know what that gangster what the things that gangsters do. You know what I mean? He just assumed all of the negative shit, like, oh, he's, you know, like the mob boss, so he's ruthless. He has to be conniving. He has to be smart. He probably has to be a killer, you know? Like, those are the things that he was thinking about. So when his mom is constantly telling him all the time, he's a piece of shit, all he's thinking about is literally the utter worst things about, you know, being a gangster. I don't understand how you can overlook the fact that he's like, especially in this last chapter right here, he's like having the flashback and then immediately revisiting the flashback within the same chapter. I'll be like, oh, he's a piece of shit. And he's just like, oh, I knew that. Well, don't worry. You don't even have to tell me anything else. And it's just like, as he's turning around and leaving, that's when he was just like, but he was only like that to me. And it's just like rehashing this shit again. Like, I guess you really did help me make up my mind. And then like you see him having like the same little kind of like thing with him coming into the middle of the street. For some reason there's tumbleweeds.
The walk, the pose.
Yeah, there's like fucking dirt. Like he's a Clint Eastwood. This is clear that he ends up sharing the same trait with his dad, but it was something that he didn't even expect to share. This is what I'm saying. Like, this to me seems like this is repetitive. This is something that he's tried to do before with other things. I just didn't, again, for like the nth time in the series, like this is something that he's basically been waving in front of my face like a carrot to a horse, but I just didn't take the bait.
I don't know. I felt more of it was just Jake Kim just being ignorant and not, you know, and his fear of becoming his dad, like Sinu said, right? It's like, oh, you're afraid of becoming your dad. That's why you're leaving. Big deal. He would just be afraid that he was just going to repeat the same cycle of like, oh, he's just going to be a shitty person at home and doing all that stuff. But I guess it's just him getting the reassurance from his mom, who she hates the guy, but still respects him. He's like, okay, I just have to just not be the asshole side of things or something. It's very cliche, like you're saying. Like we've seen it so many times before where it's just like, yeah, he's an asshole. And then, oh, we have to wait a week to get the rest of that answer. But yeah, I'm looking forward for this rematch fight. I think Samuel's going to get his ass whooped because he's going to be very emotional. And then, you know, Jake Kim's going to be pretty calculated because he actually has a determined goal to make sure like he has to win. So that way, you know, the girls can stay safe.
I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a coup. It's probably going to start off as a one-on-one, and then like Oldface is probably going to try to tell the boys to jump in, and then Jerry's going to have to jump in with the other 2 guys or 3 guys, I forgot. I think, you know, Gunn is definitely not going to take the opportunity lying down and stay close by or make sure that nobody interferes between Samuel and Jake. And I'm very curious because now in this rematch, I want to know, or I want to see if this is like in any way going to influence Jake on fighting dirty or kind of using those tactics that he had before Gunn put him in jail, you know? This is something that we talked about pretty much like a couple hours just before we started this, where we were kind of reviewing like the four gangs. And at this point, you know, it's pretty obvious that Big Deal is going to be the last one. You know, we're going to have this ultimatum between Jake's gang and his collaboration of pretty much all the worst people that by far have been, you know, undeterred by Daniel and his faction. We're going to have Jiho involved, hopefully. So that'll always lead to, you know, some very big climactic conclusion. You know, probably something to tie in with the other characters. Like Vince. I always wanted to see what happened with that guy, like that guy. But, you know, so forth and so forth. I think that those kind of things are, you know, really precedent. And we always want to make sure that we're looking into like the little itty bitty little, I'm not going to say traps, but like little clues that he would leave for us here and there, thinking about, you know, who's going to really be involved in the final act. You know, one of the, I don't know if we really talked about this yet, but we had like this really quick debate. It wasn't really much of a debate because it was really obvious to like 2 out of the 3 of us, where like Goo has his little meeting with Mr. Choi and like and James Lee and like the other 2 people who were unidentified, and you know, we're getting to you know, more of a, I would say like split alliances. like factions within factions, double cross for double cross, and even triple crosses at that. Really just like getting into the nitty gritty of like who's really going to be siding with who at the end. Who's like, where's the power struggle really coming from, and who's holding the crown at the moment. I'm not gonna lie, from this vantage point, I was like, if Mr. Cho was in charge, like why is he sitting on the floor, in a white tee, like shouldn't he like be with Crystal or something like that, like whatever the situation's going on here, like this is like some of the things that we're like trying to find out, and I think those things are going to be the things that we forget about until they come back in the most unlikely moments, and that's when we're really going to be like taken back, I guess. But I guess, like I said, if we've been following along with his patterns, he kind of does this repetitively, so it should be something that we should be able to catch on to eventually.
Of course, the biggest thing for this arc, right? Because there's a lot of unanswered questions involving James Lee and all this stuff. And yeah, it just really throwing me off why Choi is here and why he looks a lot younger than he should, because he should be 50 during this flashback. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, and I hope we get some more of that stuff, at least in this arc, just because I just want some answers now, and I feel like this is just stuff hinting towards what we're going to be seeing next after the Jake Kim stuff, because we actually finally get a look at James Lee, and it's not who a lot of people weren't expecting to be, right? It doesn't look like Daniel at all. And I'm on the side where I'm like, I don't even think Daniel is James Lee anyways. So that's going to be interesting to see of getting more of his character fleshed out. And then, whoever the mysterious guy is, who's the leader for,
Workers. Yeah, he has to be the first affiliate, because I think right now we've only seen, so far it's just Samuel. We haven't seen the leader for the other 3 affiliates.
I hope we get more stuff with Choi and Gu and all them next chapter. But again, I think it's more of just a tease. We might get some more stuff like towards the end of this arc, seeing as we still, the chapters behind the paywalls, they're all still Jake Kim, so we're still going, which is still crazy to me. I think with Jake Kim, it probably won't be until the very end of the arc where he decides, like, okay, I guess I really have to go this route, like just be an asshole like my father, and like that's just the only way I could get into, really get into these people like Samuel and all the other people with the 4 affiliates and stuff like that. Or unless Gunn just steps in after this fight and says some shit, and that causes Jake Kim to kind of like in a sense like face reality and like, well, I guess I really have to be like this.
If reality means that he has to like basically not have it his way for whatever reason, I don't really think that would be good writing. Like I just think that he's kind of writing himself into a position where he's not going to really articulate or have a really good like transition for Jake as to like why he's so determined chaotically now versus to when he was so like determined, for justice.
Yeah, I mean, not to get into spoilers because Gerry hasn't touched it, but I think a good example is what happens with Majima at the end of Yakuza 0 and how his character changes. It's not the best writing. It's just he has to accept what he has to become under the circumstances that in the world that they live in. So I think it'll be something similar to that. Because I think even if Samuel does something that Jake Kim's really going to hate, I don't think that's enough to like fundamentally change his character for the next 3 years. Like he would just get emotional and act all crazy, and then Samuel will say something like, "Oh, I guess we really are alike" or something. Because Samuel's more like Jake Kim is in the present. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see. And yeah, I just think it's gonna be at the very tail end, which I think that what the problem is, we have Samuel and we have Jake Kim as the 2 main focuses for this arc, and one has to be likable to be the main character. It just had to be Jake Kim because Samuel has to stay a Samuel pretty much Because like, when he was introduced back in the arc he was introduced in, it's like pretty apparent that like, oh no, he's always been like this. So like we can't really make him too likable in the past, so we had to stick with Jake Kim, and now we have a problem, like you're saying. We're in a sense in a corner of like, well shit, he has to be an asshole at the end of this, right? Like, what are we gonna do?
I just feel like maybe because he has to be younger, like maybe he has to be naive in that sense. Like he's just still looking at power. Like
a shonen character?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for this rematch. And see, I'm not going to lie, I thought he was going to be more savage of them saying like, oh, the girls aren't making enough money. He's like, well, I know where they can make money.
Oh.
This is Lookism, right?
Lookism, and they are on the street.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to go that route. All right, so cool, man. I think with that, it's safe to say we could go ahead and wrap up this episode. I'm looking forward to more God of High School, of course. Looking forward for this rematch fight. So while we wait for all that, man, you can go ahead and send us an email, unversedpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, talk about it on the next episode. And then you can follow us on social media, Unverse Podcast, anywhere you go. And we'll let you know about the latest episodes drop. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.